Welcome to Life Strategies with Nat, where wellness meets wealth. Join me, Natalia Edelman, as we explore powerful life strategies with trailblazing entrepreneurs and business leaders to elevate your lifestyle, boost your business, and ignite your unique brilliance. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are redefining wealth today. And I am so honored to have Rachel Wayte back in the studio today. Rachel, I have so many words to describe Rachel, but just for intents and purposes, as we get started, Rachel is a world-renowned sound healer. She's an energy healer. She's a spiritual channel, and we are going to channel some beautiful wisdom here today for you all. Rachel, she works with purpose-driven, high-achieving professionals and leaders, which is exactly who is listening today. And we want to get into this conversation about what is wealth actually, going beyond financial prosperity, looking within. And if I can just say, from a Wellness 360 perspective, the finance life element, yes, it's about meeting your needs and getting food on the table and living the life you want, but while achieving those basic needs. That's on the external layer. And internally, it's our money beliefs. What do we believe about money? No matter how much we have or don't have is irrelevant, really. And then the energetic layer that comes with it is abundance. And Rachel and I were chatting before, and it's interesting because when you talk about money beliefs and you talk about what we use money for, and we talk about what abundance is, it's not just in the finance element. It is so interconnected. So maybe we start there, Rachel, and just sort of dive into, what is this? What is wealth, and how are we redefining it as successful leaders who are here to make an impact, which is the energetic layer of purpose. It's going so far beyond the traditional definitions, isn't it?
Yeah. Wow. Thank you, first of all, for having me here. What a meaty topic that we find ourselves getting into today. And I was just really feeling into what you were saying. And, like in the traditional sense, if we just go into that, success was, and it is, I saw it growing up, it was about how much money you have in the bank and how much money you are earning. That was kind of all I saw around that success. But as I've grown up myself and stepped into the work that I do, I was talking to you about this earlier. I see clients on many different levels, and money is an issue, whether there's not much of it, whether you've got loads of it, there's still money energetics going on either side. People who perhaps don't have as much as they want to have, there's the fear of there's not enough, and they're permanently in a sort of a fear of lack. And then I see it on the other side when actually it can become stressful. You've got plenty, but it becomes a burden. You're still not necessarily happy. You're chasing. But actually, are you well in yourself? Are you happy? Are you wealthy inside? And that's the answer often is on neither side, whether you're in lack or actually you've got lots. If you're not wealthy inside, it's kind of irrelevant how much money you have.
It's so true. It's so true. And I mean, I was speaking with a woman yesterday. I went out for lunch with her, and she was ill for 3 years. She's a esteemed psychologist. She had all the success, but then suddenly when your health and well-being is suddenly, I don't want to say taken away, but it's just, we find ourselves in those moments of, maybe we're not at the extent of being bedridden per se, but we're just not, like you said, there's varying degrees, like whether it's happiness, whether it's health, whether it's fulfillment. Do I feel like I'm making an impact, like I'm doing what I'm supposed to, what I not supposed to be, but I'm doing what I'm here to do. And this like evolution, I'm so glad that you brought the word success into it because it's so true. We grow up with these definitions of what is success, what is wealth, what is happiness, even. And it's so funny because we're always taught and we always seem to look for it. We want to look outside, like we're thinking, oh, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. And it's not really about the doing, is it?
No. And I'm learning this. Like I'm learning this every single day, like mastering this myself every single day. And this has been quite recent, but what I've been doing recently is, because it's what I've been led to really, really feel into, is actually being every single day how I want to be and how I want to feel. So in order, and that's not in order to suddenly get the house I want or suddenly get this that I want. It's actually being present to, and this, I feel this is the real wealth, this is the real abundance, this is the real joy, and this is where your life can really change, is when you're able to almost like be so aware of your emotions and your feelings, and being able to shift in a moment, notice how you're feeling and shift that into something that you really want to. I'll give you an example. Like, so some mornings I'll wake up and of course I'll feel frustrated, I will feel worried, maybe I've had anxiousness around money, say maybe that's what it is. I feel that and I honor it, but then I don't then sit in that worry and sit in that fear. I actually think about, actually throughout the rest of my day, I want to feel at peace and I want to feel joy. That's how I want to feel in my day, despite what might actually be physically happening in this is maybe if you're in lack at the moment, and perhaps you're like seeing around you not everything that you want and you want more. The way to master it is to actually, rather than focusing on what you want and really putting in the energy of want out there, because sometimes wanting something actually means that you're lacking it, is if you can allow yourself just to feel whole and complete and in peace and in joy as much as you can throughout your day. It's amazing, because then your heart opens up and your energy opens up and everything opens up to the place where actually you're in, I guess you're in alignment, you're working with the quantum physics, with the universe, you're working with it, you're not working against it. And your life begins to feel much more complete, and that's when the physical manifestations of what you want will actually change as well. But that's almost like a byproduct. It's really important to focus on internally, how do I want my day to be today? How do I want to be feeling? And really and I've been focusing on that so much, and it's made such a difference. So if I feel myself suddenly feeling like, oh, I've got something to do maybe in my work and it feels heavy, and I think, oh gosh, that's going to be quite difficult, I just bring myself back to, but actually today I want to feel joy and I want to feel peace. And actually then when I get into that, whatever I'm doing next, it's like, oh, it feels so much easier. And you can think about that about anything. You can think about that about money. You can think about that about your children, your family, your life, any situation. I know I'm going off tangent slightly, but that for me is how you're being in the present moment each day, I feel can change absolutely everything. And that's where the wellness and the wealth comes from. It's how you are feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. And I didn't think you were going off tangent at all because, we're talking about wealth, we're talking about wellness, we're talking about abundance, we're talking about fulfillment. And ultimately, when you are such an impact driven individual and you have such genius to unleash into the world, your persistence in getting your messaging out there, in living a good life, in providing for your family, you have you have levels of responsibilities,
Yes.
but it's all coming from a place of impact, I find.
Yes.
And at least that's who's listening to this podcast. And that's the whole concept around wealth as, money is a tool, right? Money is a tool that helps us to achieve our goals, that helps us to live a good life, to live what we want to live. And I like where you're coming from in terms of, when it's so hard for some of us to even know what we want. And that is a whole other episode in and of itself. But, when you're talking about vision, and it's so often when you reach new levels of success, you have to reevaluate your values, what's important to you. You have to reevaluate what your vision is, who's in the picture, what's in the picture. But what you were talking about earlier was also related to the be, do, have method, where you're thinking about, well, how are you actually living? Are you living as a victim, in the sense that you're living in have, do, be? So you're always chasing what you don't have yet. And
Mm,
then you get caught up in the doing, and then the being comes at the end, but you'll never get there because you're so focused on the have, or not have, not have, not have.
yes.
And then you've got, the worker bee, which I think so many of us fall into, including myself. Like, sometimes you're all of these things, but it's about noticing how you're living. But the worker bee is so focused on the doing. The more that I do, then the more that I'll have, and then I'll be happy. And it's like, well, no, like, it's starting. I am happy, I am peaceful, I am strong, I am successful. That allows me to do the things, and then the have comes as a byproduct. The money will come, the dream house, the dream villas, the dream vacations, all of them,
Yeah.
the dream business. And so it is very much that be, do, have, which is what we're saying. And that really is the new wealth. It's like, who are you being in this present moment? And that, are you being abundant? Are you feeling abundant? Are
Yes.
you being happy? Are you being healthy? And the choices that you make from that state of being,
Mm.
that's what really creates the wealth within and outside and energetically, right? I think that's what we're
Absolutely.
saying.
Yeah, I love that analogy. I love how you describe that, because actually, especially from that, if you've got that mindset of having to do all the time, you think that's the only way you're going to achieve. I totally get that. I totally understand it. But actually, if you can just shift that slightly and just change your day up slightly, and you can start with just feeling how I'm being and how I want to feel, all that you were talking about. And actually that then, because when you come from that do, that's where the stress comes. That's where the buildup of cortisol, or whatever it is, the buildup of stress comes, the
Yeah.
pain in the body, the lack of sleep, the sabotage, the sort of needing a drink of alcohol at the end of the day to get through it. All of that comes from that, because the energy that you set off with is from a place of stress. But when you can come from, you can get the same amount done, the same amount achieved, when you come from a place of feeling more calm, more peaceful, more joyful, less stressed. And actually, you don't have to feel, I think some people feel like, and I've got to fill up my time with all these different things. I've got to be busy. I've got to be busy. I've got to be busy. But actually, when you feel your time with quiet moments and time to just be, you can get so much more done, and you're more creative, you're more joyful, you're more happy. So actually, what you do, you enjoy at the same time. It becomes more purposeful.
Absolutely. And, we see it on the retreats that we do, when you're able to really escape the busyness of life, the responsibilities of life, and just breathe again and just let go and just be in the present moment. You find that when you plug back in to reality, wherever that is, that you are so much more well, that
Yes.
you are so much more wealthy because you're so resourceful and you have the resources, but sometimes you don't maybe know how to use them, or you don't feel that you are resourceful. But everyone has this abundance of resources around them, whether that's the people, whether that's money, whether that's, spirituality, emotionally, physically, mentally, physically, in those different realms. You have, so many tools at your disposal, so many resources at your disposal, but it is about, knowing what you want, but starting with, who do you want to be? And that's like the golden thread through this whole conversation. It's like, that's wealth redefined. It's who you are being, and the rest comes naturally.
Yeah. I it's just the whole ripple effect that and then comes out from that. How liberating is that really when you think about it? You start from, who am I being? Who do I want to be? And how do I want to be feeling in my life? And if that becomes a priority, how that's just because then you realize, oh, I'm the one who is in control of in that sense, I'm the one in control of my life and how I want it to go. And that's really liberating, and that's
Mhm.
so freeing. And the other thing you were saying about going on retreats is just life changing. It's wonderful, and they can really shift so many things for you. But I also want to say to people is, you don't just have to wait for the next retreat, the next holiday, the next time out. These retreat moments you can bring into your everyday as well. So
Love
bring
it.
in that little bit of meditation, bringing that mindfulness, bringing those feel. Don't feel like, oh, I need to do. Oh, and then I'll get my respite when I go on my holiday or whenever it is. It's actually you bring back the retreat into your
Mhm.
daily life, and that's going to just amplify everything.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah. And that's why it's so important to have, the community and the tools around you that contribute to that wealth, that well-being,
Yes.
even from when you're in service of others, and you've got, because we have a lot of people that are very philanthropic and that love to give and that love to help, and they love to give and help across all individuals, because we feel that, this wealth gap needs to be reduced. We all have a right, and um it's good, it's okay for everyone to feel this way, and there doesn't have to be such a divide. And I think that's the other thing that comes in terms of redefining wealth, because you're having this huge wealth, this huge transfer of wealth that's going to be happening, and you start to think, wow, like, not in terms of money, but in terms of resources, in terms of genius that has to be shared. We talk about education, we talk about health, and really accessing all of these things. But kind of coming back to wealth and what that means for individuals, it does have that ripple effect like you're talking about, but it has to start with you, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. And um, it would be amazing to be able to get this message out to like as many people as possible, because I think if everyone knew this, if everyone actually realized that it wasn't external forces that was in control of their life, or how much they have or how much they haven't got. Actually, everyone has the I don't know if the power is the right word. Maybe it is the inner knowing themselves to be able to do something about it and shift it. Just because this is how you saw something in your life growing up, that's not necessarily how it has to be for you. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you can change it. And I think the more of us that can support people to be in this place of limitless abundance, or however you want to describe it, or being more empowered around this, the better. Like,
Yeah.
to be able to help people shift on such a level would be
Mhm.
amazing.
Yeah, and I think the last thing that maybe I'll say um, is that wealth is often seen as a material thing.
Yes.
Like, how many toys do you have? Like, how many houses do you have? How many, it's
It's never how happy are you, is it? How
no,
joyful are you? How, it's none of those things, but actually that's the question to ask.
it is. It so is. It's not about the material possessions, which I think is associated with the traditional definition of wealth. But it really is like health is wealth, wellness is wealth, and the well-being that you feel, not just in your health, but your happiness, your fulfillment in each area of your life, your purpose, your relationships, your spirituality, yes, your health for sure, the fun that you're having. Like, how many of us live life a bit too seriously? I know I used to. And sometimes it's in your gene keys as like a shadow element, but it's like, if you're not careful, and that's all about creating that harmony and being more harmonious and being aware of your tendencies, maybe where you can fall into bad habits or what else. And I don't even like to say good and bad habits, but like just the habits that you find are not making you feel as wealthy as you want to be feeling, as joyful, as happy, as fulfilled. You put in whatever high vibrational word you want to put there, like love, you know, and I think it's those moments of where we can feel, whether it's sadness or grief or hurt, any of those lower vibrational feelings, it's like an opportunity and an invitation to say, oh, hang on a second, something's not quite right. Where has the wealth gone? Where has the happiness gone? And it's about looking within, isn't it? It's not looking to be like, oh, I need to go here, I need to go there, I need to do this, I need to do that. It's like, no, wait, like, what's going on within me?
Yeah.
um so yeah, I'm going to invite Rachel, I'm going to invite you to just share any final thoughts
Yeah.
before we kind of end today's discussion. But
It was everything that you were saying there was just so true and just so powerful. And it's not to say that obviously you don't, of course we all have these emotions going on. Sometimes we don't feel great, sometimes we feel sad, sometimes we feel frustration, and it's not like there's anything wrong with those. But when you can really the like the true, like as we discussed, like wealth and happiness happens when you become aware of them and you go, actually, let me look into this, let me rather than them just spending most of your time trying to avoid them or numbing them or chasing them away or trying to find a distraction from them. Let's just come back to, okay, what is this showing me? What do I need to look at? How can I heal from this? How can I move on from this? And going back to that will then um and doing whatever you can to clear that, to allow in those feelings. So sometimes it's hard to feel the joy and the fulfillment and the happiness when you've got the negative emotions going on, but having a level of awareness around them rather than trying to ignore them or numb them or overwork so that you don't ever process them or you don't ever meet them. It's not always like it's a brave person that takes that moment to go, I'm going to look inwards and I'm going to do the be part, like do the being. But
Mhm.
but it's so life changing when you do it, when you go on that journey of just of being. And that's where, like you said, the wealth and the happiness really comes from, is when you be, be with yourself.
Yeah, I love that you brought this in because, we are spiritual beings living a human experience, but it is those signals that we want to be able to notice so that we can be in our full divinity, like our full being.
Yeah.
And it's not about being happy all the time.
Oh,
And it's not about being joy and peaceful all the time. That's just not possible. It's not realistic. So I think that's really good you brought that in, because what we're saying really is, if you want to find the true wealth, it is also about making peace with some past trauma that you felt, or and trauma doesn't have to be extremely terrible. It could be a word someone says to you that just triggers you somehow. It doesn't have to be a terrible event, although those are the ones that we want to heal first and foremost, but those are
yeah.
often the most difficult and the ones we try to suppress, and that comes out in different things and different and how we behave and all sorts of things. But it is like being okay with saying, hey, I'm not okay right now, and I need a bit of help, and I need to explore what this is, because I don't want to feel this way anymore,
Yes.
or I want to feel this instead.
Yes. Yeah. And that's super empowering as well, to
Mm,
make that decision to to go on that journey. That's how I've shifted everything. It was from realizing I didn't want to be feeling what I was feeling, and I didn't want my life to carry on the way it was going. And the only way I could shift that was to go, okay, I'm the one who can do something about this. Yes, I got help, I got guidance, I got healing, I got things, but I wasn't looking for some external factor or waiting for some external factor to come in order for me to feel better, because that's never going to work. It might work momentarily, but then if your issues are still there, you'll just be chasing the next thing until
yeah.
you go inwards.
Yeah, it's like getting that dopamine hit just to
Yeah,
feel good for a
yeah,
split second.
yeah,
And then but really, and this is definitely, I mean, a conversation for another day, but even understanding like the biology of that and what that means. Um, but you want to be finding things that help you in the long run, not just give you that short-term
yes.
fix.
I just have to say one thing. So I was on a call was it earlier in the week or last week? I think you might know him, of Winfred Daw, and he was talking.
I was done
You
the
were there.
exact
So
same.
what
Yeah,
we were
that's what I
there,
was
and
thinking
what was
of.
he was saying,
Yeah.
are you chasing the dopamine, the hit, or are you spending time allowing yourself to be bathed in serotonin, which is actually where we want to be, in the peaceful, in the joyful, in the happy. You're not otherwise you're just chasing it, chasing, and that's exhausting.
It is. And I hope to have Winford on here too,
Oh,
to just explore that topic, because
yeah.
it blew my mind. And I mean, for anyone who's listening, I will definitely talk a little more about that, because it was fascinating to understand that part of like your brain health and how that those different hormones and different receptors really work, and how you can create more serotonin, which in the long run creates more dopamine. And I know I'm not saying it scientifically correct, which is why I didn't want to get into it, but
I can't, but it just made sense. Absolutely made sense what he was saying. And I think, but serotonin moments are those moments where you just you look outside and the sun is shining and you allow yourself to feel happy. You allow yourself to feel joy, and you've got to actually give yourself permission sometimes to allow yourself to feel it.
yes.
And feel happy, feel peaceful, feel abundant, feel those feelings. And you don't have to feel it all the time. That's okay. But actually, the more you allow yourself to feel it, the quicker you can bring yourself back when you are having moments, where perhaps there are some emotions coming up that don't sit well with you. You can you become much more adept at bringing yourself back quicker into those feelings that you do want to be feeling.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, what a fantastic discussion, Rachel. Thank you so much.
My
And
pleasure.
I mean, that is wellness is wealth. And the path to wealth really does start with you. And that's what we try to bring to you each and every time we come on the podcast and share brilliance like Rachel shared with us today. So thank you so much for being here, for channeling this enlightening conversation. And we will see you all next time. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.